Welcome to Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil, the official Monster Jam podcast. I'm Scott Jordan. My guests this week not only share a love and passion for driving Monster Jam trucks, they also happen to share the same last name, and they're taking over the sport. Let's go to Wisconsin on the Great Clips hotline to welcome in Brandon and Mikayla Tulachka. Guys, good morning. Welcome to Inside Monster Jam.
Morning. How you doing?
Doing great. I appreciate you guys being here. It was awesome catching up with you at World Finals. We'll talk about your experience in Los Angeles a little bit, but let's go back to the beginning for our viewers to get to know where this passion for Monster Jam came from. And let's start with the old man, your dad, Mitch, who has become a Monster Jam and monster truck legend. I know Just Get Her Done debuted around 2005, 2006. So pretty much nearly your entire life you've been in this business. What was it like growing up with your dad as a monster truck driver?
Yeah, man, it's absolutely awesome. Me and my older brother were actually into dirt bikes, motocross and whatnot. So we would go out and do some Monster Jam shows, monster truck shows during the weekends, and we'd haul butt home and do a dirt bike race Sunday afternoon. So, it was always monster trucks and dirt bikes always growing up, and it was pretty awesome.
Was there ever any push from your dad to get you guys into the business, or was that just something you picked up along the way and said, this is kind of fun, I want to do this for a living?
Yeah, so he didn't quite push us into it because we had sporting events like football and baseball, wrestling and whatnot. And he got out of it for a little while to, watch us do our sporting events and whatnot. And then when we graduated high school, he asked us a question: "You guys want to start monster trucks again?" And I was like, "Heck yeah." So we decided to build another monster truck right after high school, and it pretty much took off from there.
That's an amazing story. So you with the dirt bike background and your brother, obviously, it makes sense. Mikayla, every time we do an Arena in 30 and I have your tour on, I always tell our audience that you studied nursing in college. So this is a different jump from being a certified nursing assistant and doing that into Monster Jam. So how did you end up making that hard left turn into this business?
Yeah, I was never part of like the monster truck or the dirt bike and stuff like the boys were. I was just a water girl, so I was no motorsports inclined at all. My mom's a nurse, and my goal in life is to help people. So I decided to take that jump to go in the nursing field and help people come out so that they can enjoy the shows with us. And I think combining those two and watching those little kids get so excited and making their day, as well as helping the people watch Monster Jam on TV, help them feel better, get out of the hospitals.
I can't imagine how cool that would be for a little kid to have his nurse say, "Oh, by the way, I drive a 12,000-pound shark on the weekends." So that's got to be like something you lead in with these kids when you go try to help them in the hospitals. Hey, you want to see something cool? Look what I do.
Yeah, I actually, my favorite story is back in 2020 when I had to decide between either nursing or monster trucks. I actually took this really grumpy old man who did not enjoy his life at all. And he was flipping through TVs while I was getting his vitals taken care of. And his blood pressure started getting higher. And I looked at what was on TV. And he was actually watching Monster Jam. He was watching Jamie Gardner versus Camden Murphy in a racing pass. And I completely stopped all my vitals. And I was like, hey, man, like, those are my coworkers. Like, I run Monster Jam. And I skipped my lunch break. I spent an extra 2 hours after my job, and I stayed and enjoyed Monster Jam with him. And that determined that I was like, okay, I can focus on schooling and do monster trucks at the same time.
That's incredible. And it's still a family business for you guys, obviously being out on the road together, but your dad's still very much involved. He was named the UNOH Technician of the Year back in 2023. So at this point in your career, what is his involvement with you guys on a weekly basis at the events?
Man, he's been there, been there for everything we need, Literally, this was our first weekend back with Monster Jam, and it's just me, my little brother, and my sister going down there, and she needed a new earbud for her helmet. So he's like, "Yeah, I'll get these things shipped out. They'll be there for Saturday during the show, event and whatnot." I'm like, there's no way that he's gonna overnight these earbuds there. Turns out he caught a plane and flew himself there with the earbuds. Came to the event, and he was, busy working on trucks all weekend long. And without him, we wouldn't have made all the events because we had a wiring problem in the Megalodon. We're still working on that right now, that he's actually in the shop. He's pulling all the wires, trying to figure out what's back feeding the truck and whatnot. But without him, we'd be struggling pretty hard. He's pretty much glued to the family.
That's amazing. Most people would just drive up to FedEx and put them in a box and overnight them. Your dad calls a plane, gets on it, and brings them. That's why he's Technician of the Year, and I love that story. We have much more to come. Stay right where you are. More Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil, is next. Welcome back to Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil. My guests this week are Brandon and Mikayla Tulachka. We talked about their dad, Mitch, and his start in the business. Now let's talk about your start in the business. Brandon, I'm going to start with you because we go from Get Her Done to Just Get Her Done. Now we're seeing Just Get Her Done 2 on the tracks. Around 2018 for you is when you made your debut in this truck. What was that moment like for you to finally be able to follow in your dad's footsteps, get out on a track, and have this brand new awesome truck for yourself?
You know what? I absolutely looked up to my dad. I loved the truck. We always wiped it down every weekend. I always worked on it. I absolutely loved, what he had created. I'm like, man, that'd be sweet. One day we could have put a newer body on the truck, single cab, so we don't have to do so much fiberglass with that cab and a half, and just slap a second gen on there. Because he taught me all the fundamentals of driving. How to wheelie, how to do a donut, all that stuff. So I love that truck and I love what he taught me. So I'm like, let's just make this a second gen truck and see where it goes from there.
And Mikayla, while you were watching your brother build this truck, what were your thoughts in there? Were you just kind of sitting back and saying, I'm still going to let the boys do this thing? Or did the thoughts start coming into your head that this, maybe he can build me one too?
Well, at the time when they were building it, I kind of just wanted them to do it. I would keep getting them water, making them sandwiches as they wanted to. But we were at an independent show and they're like, you know what? You're old enough. It's your time. Jump in the truck. And I never jumped a truck that big. And ever since then, I've been strapped in.
Brandon, as far as the process goes with you, I know we don't really talk too much about the process of building a monster truck from the ground up. So can you talk to or tell our viewers a little bit about how long that process took, where you started, and kind of what went on in your shop while you're building this truck?
Yeah, so that was a pretty crazy story, with all that, because it was just me in the shop. It's right after high school. Mikayla, she was still in high school and whatnot. So I had a full-time construction job when I was building the monster truck. And I got done with construction. I started building the monster truck in the shop. And my dad was out of state working, a different construction job. He was doing all the bids, all the higher up work in the construction, field. And so he's like, you got 2 calls at the end of the day. If you need help putting this thing together, everything's there. Do what you got to do, put this thing together. So I put the hose in backwards, putting the four links in backwards. This truck, my first couple of shows with this thing was just a wreck because when I assembled this thing, I had no idea what was going on. And so back in the day when we first built the truck, I had zero experience doing it. I had no idea how to figure anything out. But nowadays, if we had all the parts in the shop, we had the whole family, we'd be able to build a truck in, less than a week, start to finish. But yeah, back in the day, it took me around 2 years to get it figured out.
Where was your first event at?
I think, my very, very first thing was a display to get the name out, get the monster truck out so we could start getting shows. And we actually had, it was like at a display center, like a car show. And so we had a motor in the truck with nothing in there. There wasn't even a crank in there. We had to push this thing in the building and pull it back out because we're like, yeah, we're not allowed to run these trucks in the arenas, too much fumes and whatnot. And then after that, we finally, pieced the motor together and then ended up doing a little fair show in Wilmot, Wisconsin. And then I ended up blowing that motor up. And yeah, it was a struggle for the first year or two. But yeah, with all the help from everybody, all the technicians, all the, the friends we made along the way, things started, plugging in and coming around. So that's pretty awesome.
Mikayla, it boggles my mind that you were making Brandon sandwiches while he was building this monster truck, and now you're one of the baddest women on the track out there. So that's quite the journey for you as well. You finish school, you go to nursing school, all that's done. At what point was Monster Jam on your radar?
It was never really like a goal of mine to be out there. Like I love watching my family. I love watching Dad. Dad taught us everything we know. So watching Brandon go against Dad and Brandon gets to beat Dad, it was super awesome. I love watching all the little kids out there. They make me who I am. They make me drive the way I drive. So once they included me into Monster Jam, I was like, okay, I think we can do this. And since then, I've loved every second of it.
Brandon, where did the when did the name Just Get Her Done 2 get locked in for you? Because obviously it's a take on your dad's old truck. Was there any ever discussion of you creating a different identity, or was it always Just Get Her Done 2 is going to be the name of this truck? That's my thing.
Yeah, man, I always wanted to follow my dad's footsteps and whatnot. So I guess Just Get Her Done has been the only name in my mind ever when it came to our own trucks, and absolutely love the name because when it comes down to anything, you got to clean the shop, just get it done, just get her done, just be done with it. get the trucks ready, just get her done, you know. And that was this name actually came from my dad's construction background. You know, he'd have all his guys working and whatnot. He'd be like, just get her done. And then from there, it turned into a monster truck name. And from all that, we got pretty much taught what just get her done means. And, you know, I just love what it means. And yeah, that's all I, ever wanted to drive for an identity.
This team has sort of become one of the most like dominant teams. You think of Team Gravedigger or Toro Loco. You have this Megalodon team now, which has Ashley Sanford. It has Angelina Knock. You got Todd LeDuc. You got Corey Rummel. And now you're a part of this team. So that's got to be pretty cool to see your name and your picture up there with the likes of some of the best in the sport to ever do it, like Corey and Todd.
Yeah, for sure. It's such an honor to be with them. Me and Corey, we go way back because he's an independent driver. We've done independent shows in the past with him as our own identity. And now that we get to run Team Meg together, it's so awesome. He gives me inside outs of, your nose doesn't look this way, let's bolt it this way. And he puts a lot of input in. And I love running with Corey. He's such an awesome guy. And even with Ashley and Angelina, Team Female, I guess, having the Megalodon represent is such an awesome feeling.
We're going to talk about your season in Megalodon and yours as well, Brandon, and we'll get to World Finals. All of that is next on Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil. Welcome back to Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil. I'm Scott Jordan, and my guests this week are Brandon and Mikayla Tulachka. Let's talk about your season on Arena Championship Series Central. Brandon, you finished 5th. Mikayla, you finished 7th. You both took some amazing jumps this year compared to 2023. So let's kind of start with the grind of the season and how you started and how you ended. What was it like, in the beginning, competing against each other all the way to that last weekend in the event season?
It's absolutely awesome. Beginning, we were super excited to get behind the wheel, try some new stuff in the trucks and whatnot, and just keep pushing each other, and have a good time, put on some good events for all the Monster Jam fans. And that's exactly what we did. We went through, did some sweet jumps, sweet hits, worked all night, make sure these trucks were 110% for the next event. We did our best.
Mikayla, what is Brandon like on tour? Is there a strong brother-sister dynamic, or does it sometimes get a little contested just because you're trying to compete and you're trying to run a team as well? What is that like for you?
Honestly, I can't say anything bad about him. I love to tell the fans that we argue all the time, but we really don't. He's got my back. He talks me through everything. If I'm confused or if I'm struggling, instead of me getting worked up, he'll help me through it. He knows what to say, when to say it. But also when something's broken, we both know to, keep our distance. We're going to say something we don't like for each other. But in the end, he's actually a really good brother on the road.
That's good to hear. My sister and I, we didn't fight too much growing up, and we still don't at this point in our 40s. So that's nice to hear that you guys still have a great relationship on the road. I know, as a team, especially being independents, that things can get a little testy out there, having to fix trucks, stay up all night. But that's great to hear that the brother and sister relationship is at the forefront. And Brandon, I want to talk to you about watching Mikayla run. So obviously, you're competing yourself for an overall event championship, but are you stepping back on the headset and in Mikayla's ear when she's running as well?
Oh yeah, the couple of times I got the overall, I had no idea that I was even in the runnings for the overall, because I'd be in the headsets telling her what she needs to do, and then when she got done with her run, I'd still be in the truck, still trying to explain to her what I was saying, because she probably didn't hear me at all in the truck. So I'd go back through, explain to her, run her through the run. That way she can use that to get better for her next couple runs. And then before you know it, they're calling my name up. I'm like, oh, dang, I had no idea that I'm even in the running for the overall. I'm just trying to help the team, work the team as good as I can, build the team up as good as I can. And, it's been working out good, because the first couple of years with Mikayla and the Monster Jam truck, I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be a tough nut to crack. We're going to have to really work on this one. But nowadays I can tell her exactly what to do, how to put a popper on the pod and whatnot, and she'll get it almost every time. I think just explaining to her what she needs to do, and after the run, explain how she could, do that jump or do that popper better, really helped her out. So yeah, yep.
Yeah, Mikayla, when it comes to racing your brother head to head, is this a teacher-student matchup? Is it something where he's given you enough knowledge that you know how to beat him? When and if you do beat him, is there a little extra, butter on your bread because it's your brother and, there's some bragging rights there?
But yeah, for sure. We always go back to whoever gets to have to sleep with my little brother in the hotel room because it's always the three of us. So whoever wins gets their own bed that night.
Yeah.
And it's super awesome even getting to go head to head against him because I know how he drives, he knows how I drive. So even if we both slip up, we can make fun of each other at the end of the day.
That's great. So, Brandon, you got to win Breakout Driver of the Year with Blake Ranger, which we talk about your overall event wins. You really did step it up a lot this year, and it was a pleasure being able to call your shows. And if you guys want to watch Arena Central, you can check out Arena in 30 powered by Spin Master here on MAV TV. But talk a little bit about what it meant to you to win Breakout Driver of the Year for 2024.
Yeah, that's absolutely wild. I had no idea that was even coming. When my name popped up on the board, I'm like, dang, there's a lot of Breakout Drivers of the Year. And they ended up calling my name. I was absolutely speechless. I didn't know what to say when I walked up to that podium and tried talking and whatnot. Yeah, I was totally speechless. That was a crazy moment for me. And I think I just mumbled a couple words here and there. But what I really meant to say is, I couldn't have done this without the whole tour, the whole family, everybody there in the room, all the dirt guys, pretty much everyone on tour. They pushed you, as a driver, you go out and you see all the other drivers cheering for you and whatnot, and that just makes you want to push it even harder. All the technicians, instead of throwing wrenches at you, they're all cheering for you. So you go out and you just have a good time, man. And I tell you what, when my name was called, I just meant to say thank you to absolutely everybody, all the fans that got us to, where we're at and whatnot. And it was an amazing year. And, just with all them guys, that's, how we got her done.
What was I like the pun there? You just got her done. So there you go. I like that. I like what you did there. I see what you're doing, Brandon. Nicely done. Your experience in the last chance qualifier. What was that like for you to compete at World Finals on that racetrack with some of the best drivers in the business trying to make it into that main field? What was that for you?
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. I never expected the nerves to be as crazy as they were. But coming down that mile-long tunnel, you had a lot of time to think of, what you're going to do and whatnot. And, just lining up there to a big old jump that I've never, the biggest jump I probably have ever hit. And that was just in racing. Usually that's in like freestyle, you got to worry about that. But for racing, hit that big old jump and, all these berms, left, rights, and whatnot. It's a crazy experience ever. I tried bringing that back to the motocross days and whatnot. But, I messed up on the last turn. But just the experience of being there was absolutely awesome.
There were a lot of drivers messing up that last turn, man. It was a wild racetrack and a wild bracket.
Yeah.
So don't beat yourself up too much over it, man. You did great. Mikayla, you were there representing Team Meg with Ashley and Angelina. Talk about your experience at World Finals, at the pit party, meeting the fans, and being there with those other incredible female drivers.
Yeah, World Finals absolutely my favorite time of the year because the whole team gets to be there together. We had 5 sharks. We call it the little shark pool. It was super fun to be there with them though, because we get to, catch up on the whole year, talk to each other, how each other did, connect, and it's super awesome. Like the fans be like, I want all the sharks. And we actually got a bunch of group shark pictures. So it's super cool to be connected with them for once and get to enjoy it with all the fans.
So looking ahead to 2025, what are your goals in Monster Jam? And this is for both of you.
Ever.
I think just the biggest goal for me is to keep improving myself. Every show I know I can do better and keep getting better. And I think towards the end, I want to be able to have Brandon not talk to me through everything. So I think being able to do it on myself throughout the whole show would be a pretty big goal of mine.
Mine would be honestly, put a helmet on, say cool, calm, and collective. Go do the stunts and tricks I want. Exactly what I'm thinking in my head. And put that right on the Monster Jam, track, not have to second guess anything, just go out pretty much like Tyler and Weston, just like how they drive. That'd be pretty sweet just to get in the seat and go,
And Brandon won a couple overalls this year. Mikayla, what would it mean to you to hoist that overall event championship trophy with your family there?
I know we're definitely saving it up for a good time, but I can't imagine how I'm going to feel in that moment. I won a couple sky wheelies here and there, and it felt awesome because when I run back, they all give me hugs, they cheer me on, and you're already ready for the next event. We're already ready for freestyle. So I don't really get to soak up that win as much, but I know for the overall, having the whole family on the pod there with me, getting to celebrate is going to be feeling pretty awesome.
Well, speaking of awesome, our awesome fans are going to take over the show next. It's your questions for Brandon and Mikayla. That's next right here on Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil. Welcome back to Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil. I am joined this week by Brandon and Mikayla Tulachka as we chatted about their careers and growing up in the monster truck industry. And right now it is your turn to take over the show. Your fan questions have been submitted on Instagram as Scott Jordan MJSX. Up first, one Maximum Tracker Matt P is asking who's been the toughest competitor on the track that both of you have faced off against. So Mikayla, we'll start with you.
I think the toughest competitor is always the females because we love cheering each other on, but it sounds like in the locker room we like being one step ahead of the other. So definitely Jamie Sullivan. She's been a tough competitor against mine. She's always getting better, and I hope to reach getting better with her.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to go with Weston Anderson. That dude, he can drive. You might have thought that every trick and stunt was done in a Monster Jam truck until he jumps out on the freestyle floor, or even the two-wheel skills floor, and he just takes it to a whole new level that you didn't even know that was even possible. So I'm gonna have to go with Weston Anderson, and just the ways he does his thing, his driving of the Monster Jam truck is just unbelievable to me.
All right, Mateo Casas 75098 has a question for you, Brandon. He's asking if you can drive a get-her-done truck with a felled body on it, what body do you have in mind for driving? So now that Mikayla is part of Team Meg, if there was a team or a truck you could put a body on your chassis, what would it be?
Honestly, on my weeks off during the week and, the weekends I have off, I'm doing nothing but construction, driving the old dump truck, driving the excavator and whatnot. So I think the old earth shaker truck would be pretty sweet because, that's pretty much what's been my background. And that's how this all has started. Right out of high school, during high school, I was in construction, driving dump trucks and whatnot. So I think the old dump truck would be pretty sweet.
I'd love to see that. Monster Jam King 29 has a question for you, Mikayla. He asked, do you plan on attempting a backflip sometime in the future? If so, the fans would lose their minds.
I think I would lose my mind at the same time, but one step at a time. I mean, guess we're gonna have to see where my future leads.
Brandon, Mikayla, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I appreciate you being here and look forward to seeing you down the road. And as for you folks, you know where to find me. I'll see you right here next week with another brand new edition of Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil.